What's up, y'all? It's the Gotcha Mogul here again today, and no, this video is not clickbait. This is the comprehensive guide to getting God Roll gear here in Artery gear, and this process and methodology works for all players, free to play, dolphins, whales. It doesn't matter because this game forces everyone to think in a scarcity mindset versus a quantity mindset, and I'm going to explain that here. So even whales, right, even if they have the ability to out farm you infinitely, they will never have the upgrade mats required to keep up with their gear farming. For example, right now I can't even plus 15 my own gear, right? I actually will have an easier time if I show you. I can't even plus 15 my own gear, even though I've been farming non-stop 24/7, because this game creates scarcity around upgrade materials. You cannot, unless you're whaling on an extreme amount, and you're literally farming just to create fodder for gear, which no one is doing that. You will never be able to max out your gear at the rate that you're farming. So there is a depreciating return on farming too much because you will outpace your mats. And I need to make that very clear. Now that is where the game puts a ceiling on progression. So you are forced to think about the quality of your gear all of the time, and thinking about, instead of creating versatile units, you're going to create versatile gear sets. And by that I mean my gear sets are always interchangeable, right? What I use for Ginga, I can use for Grace, right? It doesn't matter, right? Because my gear, my gear is so focused on quality that every DPS unit can benefit from it. So the way you need to think about your gear is, especially when it comes to DPS tailored gear, you're looking at gear that can output the most DPS either for PvE or PvP. This process and methodology will apply to you the most. So let's talk about how I got gear like this, right? It's all down to the fuse system, right? Of course, you guys may have already seen the guides on it, and you're probably like, okay, yeah, we know that the fuse system exists, we're going to use it, yada yada yada, right? But what you need to know is that you've been hearing a bunch about making sure you get these T3 gear fusion crystals, and these are free to play and accessible to everyone. You need to make sure that you get 2 of these, or at least 1 of these every week, and 1 is just enough. I'm going to be honest, 1 is all you need, because you're probably, especially as a free to play, focusing on perfecting 1 piece of gear a week, and that is fine. Why? I'm going to go to the hunts and I'm going to show you something, and this is all going to come together and make sense on why I do things this way, because statistically this all works in your favor. So you've been watching hunt guides on farming stage 9, Centaur stage 9 one-shot guide, or maybe you're watching Harpist 9 one-shot guides, and you're like, oh, I need to farm 9. Farming stage 9s is the worst way to get God Roll gears in this game. What you want to do, you only want to farm until you get the main stat that you want for your stage 9s. That is it. For your stage 9s, you are not farming for perfect gears. I want to make that very, very clear, especially if you are a DPS focused player. You want to make sure that when you get into stage 9, you go in with the mindset of, I need a crit damage main stat, or I need a crit damage main stat, or a crit chance main stat for my slot 5, or I need a percent attack main stat, or a fixed attack main stat for my slot 6. And you lock it in. I don't care what stats is on it. You lock it in and you call it a day. Stop farming, because stage 9s are very stamina ineffective. You don't want to keep wasting some stamina on these on these stages. What I would do is lock in one of each, get a crit main stat stage crit main stat slot 4, crit damage main stat slot 4, get a crit get a attack percent main stat slot 6, and an attack fixed attack main stat slot 6. So you want one of this main stat, you want one of this main stat, you want one of this main stat, and you want one of this main stat specifically. And you lock them in. Don't worry about the stats anymore. Now you're going to, this is where it's going to get a bit confusing. You're only going to farm stage 7. I know, sounds crazy, right? People have been telling you, like, your gear probably is so good now. You're like, why am I going back to stage 7? This is why. Stage 7, there is no real probability to your stats. Like, this has the most controlled probability of getting extremely high offensive stats and rolls, because both your slot 2 and slot 3 are both fixed defensive stats. Your slot 2 being health, a fixed health stat, and your slot 3 being a fixed defense stat, and this will always be the same. Contrary to stage 8, where yes, you may have the fixed attack stat in your slot 1, but your slot 4, which is basically your boots in this game, right, the equivalent, has the same percent chance of getting the same rolls as your slot 5 and 6 in stage 9. So that already makes stage 8 inefficient. You want to farm stage 7, because the way the fuse system works is that you can fuse any of the gears that are 6-star. As long as they're in the same hunt and they belong to the same hunt, it does not matter, right, what gear it is. I'm going to show you. Like, I can take, as long as the gears don't overlap, which I'm going to show you. So right here, I have a crit damage main stat. Oops. Right here, I have, let's see, I'm going to show you an example. So I have a crit damage main stat. Now I'm going to look for a gear that has crit damage. I cannot transfer this gear specifically because they share the same main stat. That is fine. Now, what this means is that you need to control how often that will happen. And this is all going to make sense. So I'm going to go into the silent recital and I'm going to show you. When it comes to these fixed slot 2 and slot 3, you have significantly more opportunity to get attack stats, crit chance, crit damage. You still have a high chance of getting status resistance. You still have a high chance of getting stat accuracy, but you know already that flat health is already taken out of the pool, which is already a big bonus, because now you're only forced to get a percent health roll, which is great. And that applies the same for your slot 3, where you can only get defense percent base roll as your as one of your rolls, along with other attack stats. So you have significantly more chances of getting attack stats because those are fixed defensive rolls. So I'm going to go back into my warehouse. This piece, I rolled all of this from farming and getting a slot 3 that had all of those stats, and I just fused it into this main stat right here. Before, all I did was lock this in. It was all blue, just random stats, didn't even look at it because I knew it was trash, and I just kept farming for slot 2s and slot 3s. It's less stamina cost, has a significantly higher chance of giving attack stats because it already comes with a defensive main stat. So even when you're thinking about your boots, right, for PvE, you're going to look for boots that have an attack percent main stat or a flat attack main stat. Where is it? A flat attack main stat. and you're going to just fuse into this anyway. You're just gonna lock it in. You're gonna lock it in just like that. Don't even look at the stats, and you're going to farm for 2s and 3s, which are your stage 7s on every hunt, because they have the highest chance. Look at that crit damage and attack, right? And that health percent. Let's look at this defense. You get your attack, critical, HP, because they come fixed with a defensive stat, and there's nothing you can do about that. You now know you have a higher chance of rolling these offensive stats, and that gives you a lot more versatility. It controls your probability and makes sure that you don't waste mats, and give you the highest possibility of getting those sought after DPS stats like this one, right? This is all offensive stats. Why? Because I have a much lower possibility of getting a defense roll because it's already in the main stat, versus farming stage 8, where it gives you both a weapon system and a propulsion system. If it didn't give the propulsion system, this is where the probability is not good, because the main stat could be anything because of the boosts, right? Slots 4, 5, and 6 are all random. It's not a fixed stat, so you don't know what you're going to get. You control your probability by farming these two. Now again, this only works if you are focused on offensive stats. Now, if you're focused on a more bulky team, this can still kind of work if you're looking for a bruisery playstyle. But if you're looking for specifically like just super healer tanky, I don't know what to tell you, but I believe most people are looking for a bruisery or a cleavish playstyle. So you always need a good mixture of attack stat and defense stat, and this is the best way to do it, by farming stage 7 and then fueling the rolls from stage 7 into your stage 9 gear, which is your slot 5 and your slot 6. Just remember, just lock in the main stat, and just you literally just farm 7 for rolls. Stage 7 will be your roll farming. That's all you need to know. Focus on stage 7 to get good rolls. Force those good rolls into your slots 4, 5, and 6. Actually, 4, 5, and 6. So you never touch hunt 8 and 9 for anything, unless you need to get those main stats. Those are the only time you farm 8 and 9 to just get your main stats. It is stamina inefficient to farm trying to get the perfect rolls for the boots and for the slot 5 and 6. Completely stamina inefficient. You're better off farming stage 7, and you kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You'll either A, get a perfect roll that's defensive and works already, that is a slot 2 and 3, and it has like 3 gold pieces, and you're like, oh, okay, great, 3 gold slots, I'll just lock this in and upgrade this later. Or you can say, oh, this has 3 great stats, but they're all offensive, I need them in a different piece of gear, and you take it into one of those main stats that you locked in. Now, I know that you may have a lot of questions, but basically, to sum up everything, what you want to do, focus on farming, let me just bring this up. Oops. Focus on getting your gear fusion crystals. You want to make sure that you get one of these every week, at minimum 1. Go into your hunts. I keep clicking on the wrong thing. You only want to focus on stage 9 and stage 8 to get the main stats that you want. Lock in that gear and don't touch those hunts again. You farm stage 7, you take the rolls from stage 7 and fuel it into your stage 8 and stage 9 gear. And that is pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns. Leave a like and subscribe. And yeah, see you guys later.